You just knock on the door. I'd walk in, I go, hey, I'm Michelle Bove. I'm meeting downstairs with your team. I'll email you in 10 minutes. Here's a sandwich, take one home for your wife. And I'd walk out and they'd be like, who the hell is that?
Welcome to Hunters and Unicorns Raw Stories Live from Las Vegas. I'm Simon Kutis and my co-host Ollie Kune.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
And it's with great pleasure that we introduce you to Michelle Bove.
Thank you. I'm so excited finally to be here.
By way of introduction, you are AVP East at Wiz. But today we're going to talk about your early days in software sales. I'm so excited to get into this story because you were really flung straight into the deep end with a difficult patch. Take us back to that moment.
Sure. Okay. So this was back in my early 20s, long time ago. No, just kidding. But essentially, I had just started at App Dynamics, which was a fantastic, fast-growing company. And I was the youngest rep, one of the only girls. And I kind of got that patch that when you're the 6th rep on a team, all their 5 reps say, here, I don't want these accounts, these, give them to her. So those were the accounts I had. No one really had heard of them. And that's okay, that happens to us. But I was just so happy to be there and given the opportunity because it really was almost a stretch for the role I was going for at 26 years old. And I was just very happy to be there. So I got this list of accounts. I prospected every single day, all white space, every day. And I mean, 100 emails I'm spitting out, custom emails, research like crazy, staying up at night, listening to YouTube videos about the products these companies made so I could relate it back to our software, studying the people, researching them like crazy. One time after the next, could not get in the door to a single account for 4 months. And I remember the feeling. My boss actually sat me down for time at a donut shop in Boston. I remember like it was yesterday. I was eating a nice, honey donut, and essentially what he said is, you are not doing well. I'm gonna have to take away the one account. It was like a pretty big account that, for me at least, he's like, I'm gonna take that away and give it to another rep that I think can do better with it. And I was devastated because it was the only account where I was like, this is a big name, and if I landed, I can make my name for myself. And it was really the hope I held on to. So he took it away, and it made me go home, and I could have done one or two things. I could have either said, wow, I am really just not doing this well. I got to go figure something else out. But instead I said, I'm going to double down. And I did somehow even more prospecting. And my whole goal was just to get in person with one of the accounts. Because I know I'm not very good maybe on the phone as well. But if I get in person, it's game over. So I basically said, I got to get in person. And this one account, I got in person with this one guy. And I'll never forget, I'm on site, me, my engineer. And I essentially, in this meeting, it was the best feeling in the world, just getting that one meeting. And in this meeting, after it was over, we did a great job. I said to him, can you bring us to your CIO? I just want to say hi, introduce myself. And I really pushed him for that meeting, and he did. And we met their CIO, and we ended up landing that account a few months later for under 100 grand ACB. My quota's in the millions, and I'm so thrilled. But then what ended up happening is we did 7 more deals in 1 year with this company. And I ended up doing just my yearly number in this one account, 7 deals, because App Dynamics was land and expand. Once you landed, you could go expand to other groups. And we absolutely crushed it just through that one account. But it gave me the motivation to go say, I can do this job. I'm going to go do it. So on top of that, not only was that, I actually ended up crushing my number that year, going to President's Club, winning Dirt Patch of the Year award, awarded by Spencer Tuttle. He gave me that award. I was very proud of myself because it was the Dirt Patch. But there were 2 other deals that really stuck out to me in that year. And one of them was, another account I was selling to, and they basically said to me, hey, the economic buyer sits in the West Coast, and I'm in Boston. They said, do you want to split this account? Give like 20% to the West Coast rep. He'll do the executive meeting, you take the 80% and work the whole deal. And I said, hold on, this is an opportunity to learn from the best. Who's the rep? It was Jake Yount, who, when I walked into App Dynamics and my first day, it was sales kickoff, and Jake's on stage, and I'm like, who is this genius, right? Like, I looked at him and I was like, I want to be him. So when I found out the rep was Jake, I said, I'll give 50% of the deal away. And my boss is like, no. We're not giving away 50% of our revenue. And I said, no, this is going to ram me. He's going to teach me. I'm gonna learn so fast, I'll be able to apply that to then everything else. So I ended up working this account with Jake through and through. We ended up becoming very good friends with this customer. We ended up landing them. It was supposed to be a 400K ACV land. We did it for 1.2 million ACV, so we tripled it in a few months. We became such good friends with this customer. Everyone there, we almost did lunch there for fun on a Monday and a Wednesday, like just to go see them. And it was just one of the best experiences. So I really learned that, it doesn't matter, even though I didn't get 100% of that deal, I still got 50% of the 1.4, which was more of 80% than the 400K lands. And I learned endless amounts. And then I learned from Jake, the best, who now is doing unbelievable things at Abnormal Security and running that company. So it was priceless for me. And then I would say the third thing, just based off this year, right? I really started terrible, and it's just, things can go up and up. But the biggest thing that I learned from this year is really the art versus science of a deal. So I was taught force management, medic, sales process, and that really helped me because I didn't come from a background. No one does. When you get into this career, you're like, what's software sales? What's a sales process? And you're reading and you have no idea what it means, but you can be taught a sales process, right? Anyone can be taught start to finish. How do you run a meeting, prep a meeting? How do you lead a meeting, send something? How do you do metrics and find out who the champion is, the economic buyer? All that is taught, right? I can teach that today to my teams, right? I have 10 teams across the East Coast. I can teach that to them every single day. What's harder to teach, and the most important part though of this job, is really the art of a deal. Ultimately, people still buy from people, and we're just selling to people. I always say the CIOs that you sell to, the CISOs that you sell to, they have a daughter too. They have a son. They have a favorite wine, a favorite restaurant, favorite sports team. Relate to them. And if you do that and you treat work like an everyday thing, like it's fun, and you actually enjoy being there, and you enjoy the people that you're meeting with and get to know them personally and professionally, the deals will come as long as you have the process as your foundation. So long story short, and why that's so important, is there was this account, I was finishing up my year almost as a sales rep. They're telling me, hey, we want you in leadership. I was 29 years old. I was like, I can't be an RD. I know nothing, right? And I still hadn't even hit 30, but there was one thing that was happening was there was this account, a big bank in the New England area, and they said, this is a lost deal. Nobody wants it, basically. And I said, I will do anything to trade for it because I've never covered those big accounts, right? So I traded accounts. I got it on my team, and I said, let me cover it. We're going to redo this account. And what we did is we took a completely different approach. The science was there. The sales process was there. All the documentation to go win a deal was there. But what we didn't have were people on our side at this company that knew us, that loved us, that were in our boat, that we knew their personal and professional win, that we could text on a daily basis, and basically were essentially like our friends to help us go get this deal done. That people forget. A deal doesn't only benefit you and us, it has to benefit the customer. And you have to understand why it benefits them. Are they going for a job promotion? Are they trying to make their company better and improve something by X, right? It's a business reason, it's a personal reason. Find that out and then go work that together. So what we did is, me, the rep, and the whole team said, first things first, we're gonna get on site again. And that was our first goal. We said not only we're gonna get on site, we're gonna go a little extra mile. So what we did is we bought sandwiches from a famous Italian deli. We snuck them in. We brought them in for like the table of 6 people, but we brought in an extra 10 sandwiches. And what would happen is, while my team was running the meeting, doing great work to my amazing engineer, Brume, he was doing beautiful work as the SE, running the meetings. I would then lead the meetings and say, all right, I'm gonna go put some art into this. And I would take the sandwiches. I'd say I had a call outside. No one knows the customer name, so I can't get in trouble. But I would go in the hallway and I would take these sandwiches, and I knew everyone at the company, org charts, start to finish, what they looked like, their LinkedIn profiles, where they went to college, where they've worked their whole careers, everything, which is, as you guys know, as sales reps, you have to do that. That's part of your job. And I would walk the hallways and I would try to find out where the CIO sat, where the CISO sat, where the head people that I hadn't ever met, because I've sent them probably 46 emails and they've never responded once. My goal was to find them. So I would. And the best part is, you leave them wanting more. You just knock on the door, find their office. I would open it. They'd say, like, come in. They have no idea who I am. A lot of the times they thought I was like an assistant or something. I was whatever. I'd walk in, I'd go, hey, I'm Michelle Bove. With App Dynamics, I'm meeting downstairs with your team. I'll email you in 10 minutes. Here's a sandwich, take one home for your wife. And I'd walk out and they'd be like, who the hell is that? And instantly it would do two things. Number one, they're like, I've got to know more. I've got to know more. And number two, they know I'm on site with their team, so it has to be important in some sense. Like, how did she get up here and do this? So what would happen is my hit rate would go from a 0% in emails to about 100%. And I would do this, and I would run into people in the hallways, meet them, ask them, and then I'd send them this email when I got back downstairs. My engineer's still doing things. I'm Brume, how's it going in here? Wink at him, and he said, he knows, trust me. He's like, oh, you're gone for 15 minutes, wonder where you were. But we did this everywhere. And then I'd send these emails while I was sitting there, and the hit rate was instant response. And then our whole goal, the second we're in a meeting, is to book another meeting. Get to know not just one person in this account, but get to know everyone. The person you're selling to, get to know their peers, the people that work for them, the people that they worked for. Get to know everyone, because a software should not just be a pinpoint solution. You should sell in a more consultative way and say, I'm gonna help your whole company, not just you, and really understand the whole business problems as a company. Maybe engineering feels this pain, but the coders and developers feel different pain. Tie it all together, make a really good story, a really good ROI for them, and make it a whole different way. So we took the art of getting to know people, meeting people in person. We'd ask to go to the cafe with these people. We'd say, hey, you guys have a cafeteria here, right? And they say, yeah. I'd be like, oh, I'm starving. Can we go? And then I'm in the caf. I know what everyone looks like, great memory. And I would just walk up to people, no shame at all. Hey, nice to meet you, I'm Michelle. I'll email you in 10 minutes, don't worry about it. And I'd walk away. And it worked over and over. And we ended up, this is, long story short, this deal that had a great sales process, which still, by the way, is so important. You have to have both sales process, the science to it, but also the art, getting in person, getting to know people, being human. It had the science really well, but it didn't have the human part to it. And we ended up taking an account that was supposed to be around $1 million land deal that was lost into over 6 million ACV land deal that we did. And we only did it, we picked up the account in August. We did the deal December 15th. We'll never forget. So about 4 months later, and to this day, that CIO has retired. Very good friend of mine, still talk to him. I've actually talked to him about the Amalfi Coast in Italy the other day. And then the new CIO is wonderful too, but it's all about getting to know these people in your accounts, really having your team, you know, I always say, like, science is so important, sales process, you have to have it, you have to do it. But when was the last time you were on site? When was the last time you went to lunch or dinner with these people? Do you know what their life is like outside of work and why they want to do this deal in the first place? Like, really get to know the people. And that's all it is people ultimately buy from people.
It's mind-blowing. You kind of is just sitting here listening to you. Michelle, your reputation is profound throughout the entire Playbook community. Obviously, you're great friends with Mike Ernest, and you know how he talks about you and how others talk about you is incredible. And just listening into this conversation and hearing your passion and what you're willing to do and going that extra mile, it's mind-blowing. And I'm in awe of listening to your stories.
The question that I have for you, Michelle, is what is driving you in those early days, right? So you're obviously, you know, we're going right to the beginning. You're obviously failing, and then you get that first meeting and you know, I need to get an introduction to my CIO. Where did all of this focus come from? Was that just something that was innate, or was that something that you learned? Was something that you were taught?
But on top of that as well, you've also been told you're failing, right? Somebody's now taken an account away from you. So it's not even just, I feel that I'm failing because I'm not getting results. I'm actually being told I'm failing as well.
Sure. So, I mean, I was kind of born like a crazy, aggressive, passionate, always want more. Like, I'm nuts. Like, I openly admit I'm nuts in the most very calm way and very good way. All right. People at home know me. I'm very calm and good, but I am obsessed with the next step, wanting more. Played sports my whole life, always wanted to win, do all that, right? I kind of go the extra mile in everything I do. It's how I am, right? I wake up early. I'll sleep 4 hours just to work out, to go do 20 things in a day. I don't sit still. Like, that's just me, who I am as a person. So I've kind of brought that to work. So mix that. Like I always say, people I hire have to have that grit and that determination that when they wake up, they want to be the best of the best. They want to do more. Like, I get anxiety if I'm not working for 30 minutes. That's probably a problem. But if I'm not going to move the deal forward in a day, like, that is just kind of how I've been since I was a little kid, right? And I look for the same thing when I hire people, basically that grit that's just beats anyone. I want that person that's ready to run through a wall every single day and be better every single day. So that's part of it. Part two is I was taught, right? Like the Ernest of the world, right? I worked at a really good company in my beginning days, PTC, with forest management. We were taught essentially, yes, you go for the technical champion, but it's also important to go higher in the account. The more people you meet, the better things are going to be for you. So I was taught early on, and then by the Ernest, the Dolly, Good Mark, everybody, kind of in that sales process stage, it's almost like, yes, you know one person, you have one person, but what if something happens to that person you're selling to? You need to, like, they might leave the company, or they might decide that this project isn't under them anymore. So to back up and make sure that you're good, it's almost like over preparing. You want to make sure that everyone in the account knows you, and everyone in the account knows the software that you're selling. So it's a little bit of process, but it's a little bit of also how I am. Mix those two together, and that's kind of why I am what I am. But I still tell my team every day, I'm like, who's your best friend in the account? Okay, go find another one. Go find another. And go make these people your friends, because, I mean, my clients know, I wish I could name you right now, but you know who you are. I have clients that are my genuine, very good friends that I text on Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving, and we mean it, and we're talking about our lives, we're talking about our friends, and these are high up executives at Fortune 20 companies who, I mean, we've changed each other's careers. They've helped my career skyrocket because of what they've done for me, but I've helped them with their company and deploying our software, whether I was at Zscaler, where I'm at Wiz now, which is the best tech I've ever sold in my life, and then, you know, App Dynamics and PTC. So it's a win-win, but my customers are my friends. I'm passionate about it, and I always want to know more people. I mean, I'll talk to anyone. A stranger walks by, you can't reel me in. Like, I don't know how to do an Irish goodbye. I do the Italian goodbye. It takes me an hour. I love people. So sales and software sales is the best thing for me, because I get to meet more and more people every single day, and I love it.
I think it's an abundantly clear to me that, lots of people hate rejection, right? And I think the reason why they won't put themselves out or go and have a conversation is that feeling of rejection. You clearly don't suffer with this. How and where does that come from? Or have you taught that, or you do feel it, but you just embrace it? Help us understand that.
Okay, I could make a joke, but long story short, personal life rejected plenty of times in my early days. I was a tomboy, so I'm used to rejection. No, I'm just kidding. But anyways, really what happened was, the thrill, like I always say, you learn the most from failures, right? I would learn when someone doesn't answer anything. It doesn't faze me. Like, people in my life and my personal life still today to this day laugh at how none of that fazes me. I'm like, oh, they haven't answered me 16 times. It's honey. But the feeling when you get in the door, like I say, closing a deal is a great feeling. But when I was a rep, a better feeling for me was getting an answer back for an email. I still feel this with my reps, right? Reps will call me and say, hey, I need help getting into an account. Can you help? And we game plan. And when they get in the door to that account, that for me is something I celebrate, sometimes more than a deal coming in, because the feeling of that is just incredible. So I don't mind the rejection. I really don't. I know that two things are going to happen. I know we're going to get in the door at some point. I know it. And I know that it might be 2 months away, 2 years away. I know we're going to get in the door. And I know that because the tech I've sold at every company is unbelievable. It's usually market leading. I know they just don't know about us yet. So it's almost like, I know it's coming. Don't worry, you're going to know me someday. And when you do, you're going to say, oh, I should have known her sooner. I should have known her technology sooner. But it's a mixture of that, really that being the number one thing I would say. But I don't mind rejection. I laugh at it. Life isn't that serious. There's a lot more serious things in the world. My job is fun and I love it.
I think, what you're doing is and the way that you approach this, people will think, oh, that's out there, that's taking risks, that's kind of, but what you're doing is you're doing it in such a sincere way. It's done with such, thought to it. It's not just doing it for my benefit. There's always something there, whether it's even a sentiment of giving a sandwich and you've gone and, as you said, it wasn't just a normal sandwich shop.
No, these are the best sandwiches in New England.
And this is it. And so it's the artistry, it's the art and how you're applying that in such a sincere way.
Yeah, and I would say, just even on that, one more art thing I would do. Not many girls in software sales, even 10 years ago, there's a lot more now, but one way I would really stand out with the art, I would think of like, how am I going to stand out from 100 sales reps? I always ask CIOs this today. I'm like, why did you answer that email? How did this person stand out? And they tell me the reasons, like a subject line in an email stands out, or they did this when they came on site, right? So I would say, how am I going to stand out from 100 other sales reps that email the CIO of a top Fortune 20 company? How am I going to do it? When I'd go on site, I would legit spend hours at midnight, and this is after working like a 14-hour day. I'd bake cookies and I'd legit write our products. I'd make sugar cookies, frost them, I have pictures, I'll send them to you. And I would write like our product names on the cookies so that when I'd show up, I'd do two things. Number one, I'd drop them in the kitchen of the customer or the prospect, and I'd write a huge note, this is from Michelle, thanks for being a customer, or hey, we're working with your team, have a cookie from me, bring them home to your family. They remembered me, right? Part two, whenever I did, we call them POV readouts. After you do a POV, or a proof of value for a month or something, the whole goal is to go on site and read this POV with everybody, with the technical champions in the room. Hopefully the executive is joined. I would make custom bags with custom notes saying, thanks for coming, chocolate covered pretzels, cookies, brownies. So worst case, if they hated the presentation, they were like, that was the best baked good I've ever had in my life. So if I'm not gonna sell them that tech that day, I know in 2 years they'll answer and email from me when I say, hey, I'm the girl that baked those cookies and everything on site, They're gonna remember me. So I would do that with the art to it too. It also spark up conversations where, oh, my wife likes to bake, and then we connect. Like, that's the whole point, is this job is the most important. Like, family, of course, is important, but my job is probably, outside of that, second most important thing to me in my life. I'm obsessed that I know that. But if you're obsessed with it because you genuinely care about your customers and connecting with my reps on my teams, my leaders, and my customers, my people are everything, right? If you actually care and do that and try to connect to these people, it doesn't feel like work anymore. Like, I love my job, and it's because of the people. That's what it comes down to. So art, most important process, of course, is the foundation, but art is everything. And yeah.
I do want to say a massive thank you for you joining us today. You're someone that we're so fond of, and thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today.
Of course.
It's an absolute pleasure.
Yes, you too. I've been waiting a long time to meet you guys, and it's finally here. So thank you so much for giving me the time, and I'm looking forward to spending more time with both of you. Thank you.
And I want to taste some of those cookies as well.
Absolutely. I
time.
thought they were coming today, to be honest, and I'm a bit disappointed.
Ernest even has me fake them for sometimes his wife and kids love them, so I will bake them next time I see you guys.
So to all our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please do subscribe to our various channels on iTunes, YouTube, and Spotify. All the links are in the description below, and we look forward to welcoming you back for another session very soon. Take care.
Thank you.